Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, Amy. I have a brand new t-shirt with strawberry shortcake. I got it at Walmart and I am obsessed with it. Absolutely love it. This is the second time I've worn it in 2 days. I got it on Sunday and I've already worn it twice. I want to show you something I painted. This isn't a Mother's Day present. It's just a flower pot I painted. It says, "Love you, Mom." It's pink, purple, and green. There's a little yellow. This paint was kind of weird because it's kind of fading, so I may have to repaint it. And I want to show you the book I'm reading. I got it from the library in Rensselaer, which is a few times over from Goodland. Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. And I'm really enjoying it so far. It's got 386 pages. I think that's how many I saw in there. So, yeah, it's one of the longer books I'm reading. And I'm excited because I should be able to get a table back in here soon. So I won't have to be sitting awkwardly with either cardboard boxes or with no table at all. Or using a chair as a table. My husband and I, we had a pretty generous tax refund, so we bought my mom a new kitchen table and it'll be here, I think, sometime next week. So that means once we get that table, I get the table I was using before, that we currently are using for the microwave in our kitchen. So that'll be helpful. This isn't really a life update video, just a few things that have been happening, but I want to tell you a funny story from 2009. I believe this was February this happened. Yeah, it was February because it was around Valentine's Day. So I was 12 years old at the time, and I was going to the private school that my mom used to be a cook at. It was my last year there. And we had our dog Holly and our dog Shelby. Holly was only 2 months old. And Shelby was, like, I guess 6 years old at the time. But that's not really relevant to the story. It's just things I remember about the story. But anyway, so what happened was, we've never really had a mice problem at all. This was back when I lived in Lowell. We never really had a big problem with mice. But this one time, on this fateful Friday, February morning, I think my mom let the dogs out while my brother and I were getting ready to go to school. And when the dogs came in, a mouse came in with them. I didn't see the mouse, but apparently the mouse came in. It ran through the kitchen, ran through the dining room, and then it went in the basement, which the basement was attached to the kitchen. So my grandmother, she was a night owl, so she stayed up pretty much all night, would sleep during the day. So she was not awake during any of this. She was asleep. And my dad was working at the Ford Assembly Plant Chicago on day shift. I'm thinking he may have already had left for work, so he wasn't there either, if my memory serves me correctly. So my mom left a note for my grandmother's that said, "Mom, there is a mouse in the basement. Don't open the door." So keep that note in mind because it's pretty important to the rest of the story. So my mom was also, if she was not only a cook at the school I went to, but she was also a study hall teacher. And she was the study hall teacher for the high school kids. And so that would have been my brother's class. He would have been, I guess, I think 10th grade at the time. He's old enough to have a driver's permit. So, like 9th through 12th grade. So I think this was after lunch that this happened because she was already back in the classroom. And my class at the time, I was in 6th grade. And the other classes in my part of my classroom that the teacher would teach were, I think, 5th and 7th grade, so 6th and 7th grade. And we took our recess a little bit later than the younger elementary school classes did, so they took theirs after lunch, and then we took ours like around like 1:30 or something. But anyway, that's not super important to the story. So my mom's chilling in the classroom with the high school kids while they do their extra work that they didn't have time to finish in the regular classes. And she gets a phone call from my grandmother, and the school's pretty lax with her answering the phone calls because my grandmother was getting dementia at the time. And, you know, she worked and everything, so it wasn't like she was a student or something, so they were okay for answering the phone. So my grandmother did not talk quietly. My mom didn't even have her phone on speaker. And like she answers it, and my grandmother goes like, "Is he here? Is he still here?" And my mom goes like, "Who? Who's still there and at the house?" And she goes like, "That man." My mom's like, "What man?" You know? And she's like, "That man in the basement!" She's like hollering it. And my mom had to explain to her that it wasn't a man in a basement, it was just a mouse. And all the high school kids were laughing so hard, apparently, is what my mom was telling me. I wasn't there for this whole phone conversation because, as I said, I was in a different classroom. And my mom, sometimes she would take my class to recess because sometimes my teacher would also teach some classes to the high school kids. So it was a day that my mom took or supervised my class for recess, and she was telling all of us kids about the phone conversation that my grandmother and she had, how she misread man as mouse or mouse as man. And we were just laughing. It was so funny. So yeah, I think when my dad got home, I think he had to make like, because obviously mice can chew through wood. So he had to go get he got mouse traps, which I'm not trying to hype up mouse traps. But I was just a 12-year-old kid at the time, so I wasn't really, thinking about any of that. But he got mouse traps, and so that way the mouse couldn't chew through the basement door. He just he had to make like another extra board with like tougher wood. So yeah, we don't know what happened with the mouse. He may have just showed himself out, or went in the mouse trap. But yeah, that's the story of the man in the basement. I hope it made sense, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And thank you guys so much for watching. And I hope you guys enjoyed looking at my shirt. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye, guys.